Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new video. In this one, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on the hadith that speaks about the sun's prostration and what exactly that means. Where does the sun go to? When does it go to where it goes to? And all that good stuff. In any case, here are my thoughts on the hadith. Let's just read this together. Hadith is in Sahih al-Bukhari. This is narrated by Yahya bin Ja'far from Abu Muawiyah, from Al-A'mash, from Ibrahim, who is a Taymi, from his father, from Abu Dhar. He said, I entered the masjid and the Prophet, peace be upon him, was sitting down. So we have an idea of where this is happening. It's in the masjid of the Prophet, peace be upon him. This is occurring in Medina. And it says, when the sun had set, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, Abu Dhar, do you know where this goes? Referring to the sun. And Abu Dhar said, Allah and his apostle know best. Now this is a very significant statement. And there is much that we can take from these words, because this event occurred after the revelation of Surah Al-Kahf. This occurred after the verses that came down about the sun setting in the murky spring. So the question is, why didn't Abu Dhar say, oh well, the sun goes into a murky spring, right? So Abu Dhar doesn't say that. The companions that were there in the masjid never say that. We only have them saying Allah and the Messenger know best, instead of answering the question that they were supposed to have an answer for according to the Quran. What does this mean? It means that they didn't take the sun going into a murky spring literally. Alright? That's the first point. He said, the Prophet said, it goes and asks permission to prostrate. Another interesting thing to keep in mind is, why is that specific time mentioned? Because you have non-Muslims that prostrated to the sun at that time. And this could be the significance behind this whole matter, this whole report. You see, you had the mushrikeen from Arabia, of course not all of them, I'm speaking about specific tribes. They would literally prostrate towards the sun, and at that specific time, the Prophet is saying, oh, by the way, it's the sun that's prostrating to Allah, and it's the sun that is subservient to Allah and recognizes Allah as the sole creator, and the sun is just a creation of Allah. So that's the significance of the timing, of the when, right? As for the nature of this prostration, we don't know. Of course, naturally, the sun doesn't have arms and legs and a head or anything like that. And of course, there are verses in the Quran that speak about the stars prostrating, about trees prostrating. We do not know how that occurs. We do not know what that specifically entails. We just know that the creation of Allah prostrates to Allah in a way that we are not aware of. All right? Of course, the companions didn't understand the prostration of trees to be a physical action that they would observe. And similarly, the prostration of the sun isn't in a way that they could physically observe. All right? So carrying on, this conversation is interesting. Okay, this conversation that's occurring with the sun. The sun asks permission to prostrate. All right, and then it says, and one day it is as if being ordered. As if being ordered to return whence it came. Then it will rise from the west. The statement in Arabic says, وَكَأَنَّهَا قَدْ قِيلَ لَهَا ارْجِعِي مِنْ حَيْثُ جِئْتِ. It is as if it is being said to return from where you came. So this is referring to the end of times. In the end of times, the sun is going to return, meaning it will be coming from the west. We will witness the sun coming from the west. So there are two ways of understanding this. We could understand this to literally mean the sun itself is going to literally be going around the earth and coming from the west and rising from the west due to the motion of the sun. That's one understanding. The other understanding is that the earth will actually turn clockwise instead of counterclockwise, and that will cause us to view the sun as if it is coming from the west. The narrations also through different paths, but also through Ibrahim bin Yazid al-Taymi from his father, from Abu Dhar, you also have them add that this occurs where it occurs under the throne. Now the question is, are we supposed to take this literally or not? Of course, now I'm speaking from the perspective of a non-Muslim that's assuming that the earth is flat according to this narration. How does the sun go under the earth and under the throne to prostrate? That conflicts with verses, it conflicts with the hadith. The throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above the heavens and the earth. Alright? It's not under the heavens or the earth. And due to that, the concept of the sun going under the earth, in order to get under the throne, conflicts with Islam. When Abraham said, "I'm going to my Lord, he will guide me," he did not mean it literally. Similarly, the sun going to the throne or going to Allah doesn't need to be taken literally either. So to answer the question of when does the sun prostrate towards Allah, well, that is when the polytheists are prostrating towards the sun. That's the significance of that statement. As for where is the sun when it's prostrating, well, the sun is where it is every single day. It's moving in its own orbit. It's not prostrating while under the earth, because the throne isn't under the earth, as established in many verses in the Quran and in Hadith. As for the question of how is it prostrating, we don't know how it prostrates. We don't know how trees prostrate. We don't know how suns prostrate. We just know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that these entities prostrate, and that's it. And as for the sun going and coming back, as I've stated before, this is our perception, and the report itself says, وَكَأَنَّهَا قَدْ قِيلَ لَهَا. It is as if it was said to the sun, go back. But let's, for the sake of the argument, say that this report has nothing to do with perception and that this report should be taken literally. Would that be a problem? I'm sure many of you have heard critics of Islam ask the question, where does the sun go at night? Where does the sun go at night? Now, the reason why this question is so often asked is because of this specific wording of the hadith, in which Abu Nu'aym al-Fadl bin Dukayn reports the hadith while saying, "Do you know where the sun sets?" So it is from this statement that they asked, where does the sun set at night? Now, there is a reason to assume that the word sets was not uttered by his teacher, Al-A'mash. As you can see here, in this other report by Abu Muawiyah, there is nothing about the sun setting. Instead, it simply asks, where does the sun go? Now, is this unscientific? Is the sun stationary? Because according to modern science, the sun is literally moving, and this is in line with hadith. Now, does the hadith say that this is going to occur every night? No. So what exactly is the problem? Well, the sun is moving in its orbit and is heading in the direction of the throne. It's as simple as that. Now, one may ask, why should we trust Abu Muawiyah over Abu Nu'aym? Well, it's simply because Abu Muawiyah is the closest student of Al-A'mash. In fact, Abu Nu'aym himself says that Abu Muawiyah was a student of Al-A'mash for 20 years. Abu Nu'aym, on the other hand, was not a close student of Al-A'mash at all. Furthermore, other students of Al-A'mash narrate this hadith without saying the words sun sets, including Sufyan al-Thawri. Now, this is also the wording of Muhammad bin Ubayd and Musnad Ahmad, another student of Al-A'mash. That's all I have for you guys today. Inshallah, you found this beneficial. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.